Hey, SMQBs listeners, welcome to episode 130, otherwise known as 30 episodes past the tattoo deadline for Milk and Pope, and 70 until the next tattoo deadline. Hey, we're down one bison again. He is still stuck in Italy. Apparently, he's had so much Italian wine, they wouldn't let him back on the plane. We're hoping that he sobers up in time for next Monday's episode 131, but we
I
will
don't think he's coming back.
I don't think
forge
he's
on
coming back.
without him. Yeah, it's a shame too, because this is a bit of a bison episode.
Yeah, very bison heavy.
Big news in Boulder, Colorado this week. I'm going to start us out with a little bison story since Bison's not here with us. My wife's cousin, my wife's family is all from her father's side of the family is all from Colorado. Her cousin owns a bison farm in Nebraska, and one of the mother bison died during childbirth not long ago. And so they had to bottle feed this calf, and humans raised it, and it became very, very friendly around humans. So that bison grew up to be the current Ralphie for the Colorado Buffs.
Wow.
So my son graduated there, and my wife's cousin raised Ralphie. So we have some connections to the Buffs.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. So guys, we're 3 days away from the start of the NFL season. How's everybody feeling?
Fired up.
Run it back.
Ready to go.
Yeah, I'm not excited at all.
Come on, it's the Baker Mayfield era.
Yeah, Milk,
Hey,
get on
board.
board,
It's time to bake.
Get on board to the B train.
No college football, no pro football. What are you focused on? Ballet?
What do you have to live for right now, Milk?
I'm back to the Hallmark channel.
Yeah, Bison's got a whole series of Hallmark movies that you guys can catch up on.
He can't even root against FSU, for God's sakes.
You need to root hard.
Tragic.
You know, for the last few years, I could always count on FSU sucking as well as Florida, and so that left the building last night.
Yeah, it did.
I'm in a living hell. So, thank God we had the Rays.
Oh boy. All right, man. Let's hit the numbers. Milk, you go first since you need a little pick me up.
My number is, I think you guys will know this immediately, 510. That's how many yards. Who threw for Rooster?
Shedeur Sanders, baby.
You know it, baby. Absolutely shocker of the weekend. I know we'll talk about it in a little bit, but I did not have that pegged. Threw me for a loop. But they are for real, and he is for real too. Great quarterback.
Yeah. How about you, Pope?
15. That's the number of interceptions that Dak threw last year, and clearly Cowboys won't be anything with him throwing that many or close to that many. He's got to keep his interceptions down below double digits for them to be successful this year.
I thought you were going to say more years.
What, to not win a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I think 15 might be low on that.
Bringing up to an even 40.
I mean, Jerry will be over like 104 by the time 15 comes around.
Yeah. All right, House, what do you have?
My numbers this week are 300, 250, 30, and 60. They're not the lottery numbers, but it's one of the best baseball milestone weeks in a long time. 300 home runs, Bryce Harper. 250, the fastest to 250 in Major League Aaron Judge. And the first ever player of all time to hit 30 home runs and 60 stolen bases in an unbelievable year that may not even win MVP, in Ronald Acuna. Awesome week of baseball.
That is awesome. Baseball's back. My numbers are 1 and 4. 1 being the total number of 100-yard games by a Colorado Buff wide receiver of all of last year, and 4 being the number of receivers who caught 100 yards worth of passes Saturday.
Wow.
That's how much Coach Prime has turned this team around talent-wise, and just the game plan. He's got a great offensive coordinator. This team is for real. At least I think so. We'll see what everyone else thinks later.
Wait, can I ask a question? Because I know we're going to get to this later. Did I see a stat come across my screen today that said something like he turned over 86 players?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like
like he based
90% of the roster.
Yeah,
That is just like bananas.
bananas.
I mean,
Bananas.
his first day on campus, he told most of the players, "Hey, you guys ought to think about hopping into the transfer portal. See you later."
Adios.
By the way, they were 1-10 last
Yeah,
year. They,
yeah.
Right.
they weren't even competitive.
Right.
They were the worst, whatever you call the Power Five team in the whole country last year, and haven't
Awful.
been good for a while. Hey, before we move on to that, I want to hit the mailbag because we asked our listeners to chime in last episode and we got some responses. The first one we have to address is our longtime pal and listener, Craig Sack Kelly, who asked us to recognize Nebraska volleyball, which on Wednesday drew over 92,000 fans to a women's volleyball match against Nebraska Omaha, which set a world record for women's sports. I think the previous record was in Barcelona at a soccer match, which was under 92,000, somewhere between 91 and 92,000 people. So my question is to you guys, do you think that the men's Nebraska football team at Memorial Stadium has a capacity above or below 92,000?
Below.
Above.
Milk is correct. The capacity is 83,406, which
They get people
puts
on the
this in
on the
perspective.
field.
You know, you have to put this in perspective. That 92,000 spectators at a women's volleyball game is amazing. So here's my second question. When the Huskers play their first home game against Northern Illinois, which, by the way, beat Boston College this week, and roll into Memorial Stadium 0-2, do we think they're going to fill the stadium or no?
Did you watch the end of how they lost to Minnesota? I mean, they had that game.
It's like all of last year. It's a rerun of last year.
That is the most people that will be in that stadium, maybe for the next decade. Great job to the volleyball team. I mean, seriously.
All right. As of the end of the day on Saturday, we've got 3 new names to consider for Heisman Trophy candidates. We already mentioned Shabir Sanders, Travis Hunter, and Keon Coleman. Oh my God, what unbelievable performances we saw in these 2 major upsets on Saturday. And I hearken back to last year when House and I were saying Coach Prime is going to turn Colorado around in 2 years. And I think there was some scoffing going on from our beloved Pope when we made that statement. My question to you, Pope, is after what you saw on Saturday, do you think the turnaround is real and it's here before schedule, or do you think that was a fluke?
I don't think it was a fluke, but, you know, I'm not convinced their defense is going to be able to hold the Pac-12's explosive offense from running up some big numbers. So the biggest question is, can Shedeur and Travis can they continue to put up? They're going to have to put up 40 points a game to be competitive in at least 3 or 4 of those Pac-12 games. But I would say I was very surprised. It was kind of delightful because I fucking all last year TCU would get away with those little victories by less than a touchdown. That's the way they went to the national championship. They were pretenders then. They got exposed as a pretender on Saturday. But
wait a minute. Weren't they your like 3rd favorite team by the end of the year last year?
Well, I had to buy into them for the national championship.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Thank you for.
But no, I mean, I think that they're ahead of my schedule, which was probably 3 or 4 years. Y'all had 2. This is a big game playing Nebraska at home on Saturday. If they win that game and get more momentum going, I mean, they could be 7-5. I mean, they could have a winning record.
That's what I wanted to do with you. You got this down. You got the college football teams. Let's go through this. So they're 1-0, home against Nebraska.
2-0.
It's a win, right?
I think you think so right now. Yeah.
Okay, that's 2-0.
Nebraska sucks.
Home against Colorado State.
That should be a
Win.
win.
Okay, that's 3-0. At Oregon.
Loss.
That's a loss. That's 3-1. Home against USC.
Loss.
That's a loss. 3-2. At Arizona State.
Win.
Probably a win.
That's a win. 4-2. Home against Stanford.
That's probably a win.
That's 5-2. We're now getting close to bowl eligible. At UCLA.
Loss.
All right, 5-3. Home against Oregon State.
That's a loss.
Wow.
Ooh, I don't know
Okay.
about that.
All
I mean,
right,
we'll
who?
see. How
Who?
good are they at that point?
Oregon State.
Oregon State's ranked.
Oregon State is for real. So
Okay.
I
All
like
right,
that.
5-4. Home against Arizona.
Win.
That's a win.
I'm going to be at that game. You
Six
guys
Is
should
that, the
try to
game,
go.
is that the game you're going to go to?
Yeah, you guys should try
That's
to go.
awesome.
It'll be fun.
6-4 at Washington State.
Loss.
6-5 at Utah.
Washington State. Interesting.
So, 7-5, 5-7. It's going to be dicey.
You
Could
gave
be
them
6,
6 wins.
could be
Worst is-
6-6.
Yeah, I give them 2 more wins.
So you think they're 8-4?
I think they go 8-4.
Wow.
Listen, TCU. I know everyone feels like they kind of stumbled into the championship game last year, but let's not forget they smoked Michigan on the way. They got killed by Georgia, but they smoked Michigan. They're a good team.
Look, TCU had lost a lot of players. They're starting a new quarterback. Their defense looked very different. So I'm not going insane about what happened on Saturday. Although I will tell you, there's no dispute. He is completely 180-degree turned that team around. And the offensive injection that he put in, to your point, 4 wide receivers over 100 yards, that running back who was a 4-star recruit. That's his top recruit, by the way.
Dylan Edwards.
He
yeah.
went off. So he's got the talent, and he's turned, and it is night and day compared to what was at Colorado last year. So,
So
Right.
Coach Prime has coached Dylan Edwards since he was 4 years
Right.
old
Yeah.
here in
But-
Dallas.
But
But he-
Pope's right. They did play Swiss cheese defense.
their defense is very suspect, and they're going to go up against much better teams in the Pac-12.
How about the Pac-12 guys? 13-0.
Yeah, but who did they play?
Unbelievable.
Who did they play? That's why I said we're going to focus on these 2 competitive games. These teams
It
played
doesn't matter. It's
nobodies.
first time
They
since
all
the
played
30s.
nobodies.
It's still hard to run the tables
still-
in the
yeah.
conference.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move on to the Florida State LSU game. Florida
Oh,
State
let's pass through
won
this one.
45-24. I don't. Who agrees with this? I think Jordan Travis outplayed Jaden Daniels by a mile.
By a
Jaden
mile.
Dan-
That's not
Jaden
even
Daniels
close.
looked good early, but man, was he inconsistent. And he sort of crumbled in the second half, whereas Jordan Travis got better as the game went along.
Jaden Daniels had some serious drops that really, I think, affected his psyche because second half, they were just a totally different team.
Yep.
You know
Yeah,
that
well, yeah.
Keon Coleman started out as a 3-ish star receiver that had originally signed with Tulane. I mean, this guy, he is maybe one of the best right now in all of college. I mean, it's one game, but still, this guy is lights out.
Yeah, he must have grown a lot since he signed with Tulane
I
because he
know,
looks
no
like
kidding.
Megatron right now.
I know, he was insane.
Well, Milk, are you ready to swallow hard and tell your wife how awesome her team is?
God, I mean,
Come on, say it.
I want to vomit. I'm not. Look, they look good. I'd like to see them win at Clemson. Okay, and by the way, that's the
And when
hardest.
they
game to
do,
play.
They're going to run the table.
And there's
have-
no one left on the schedule.
They don't play one ranked team other than Clemson all year. from now on.
It's ACC, baby. So, yeah, I like to see. Look, that game was in Orlando. That's a very home field advantage for Florida State. But there's no denying. I can't deny it. Jordan Travis, he looked awesome. They look like they did the last 6 games of last year.
Mm.
I was hard on them last week. I said they played inferior competition the last half of the year. It was their schedule, blah, blah, blah. It appears that, and I've been hard on Norvell too. I didn't think he was the best coach at Memphis. Never won anything there, but he's got that team going on all cylinders, and it showed last night. And LSU's a very good team. They are a very good team, and they will have a great season. So, I mean, they waxed them.
They got shell shocked, and
Yeah.
I think that you can pencil in Florida State as one of the 4 in the college football playoffs.
Their defense looked pretty ferocious.
It would be
times.
a major upset at this point, even though we're 1 game in, for them not to make the playoffs.
I'm interested to see what Clemson does tonight.
You could take LSU out,
Notwithstanding Justin Jefferson and Joe Burrow and everybody else that was on that team, Brian Kelly's a fraud. The guy's a fraud. I don't buy into him. And well, of course that wasn't Brian Kelly's team anyway. But
I think he's gonna have to learn a new accent by the end of this season.
That was Coach O's team, but
that's right, Coach O.
Brian Kelly's a fraud. And I don't all this stuff and the razzle dazzle and the videos and the guarantees, he's a fraud. I think that team has a lot of talent, and it may be one of the problems. That team need to be better coached up for that game than they were.
Yeah.
I read something that LSU's championship going to the playoff hopes now rest on beating Alabama in Tuscaloosa in November.
Yeah.
Failing that, they are Dunsky.
All right, let's move on to what's got everybody excited. Week 1, NFL.
Yeah, baby.
We're not going to bore all of our fans going through each division and making team-by-team predictions. That's been done 100 times already. But let's talk about some fun stuff. Pope, who do you think is your breakout player of the year this year?
Breakout player?
Mm-hmm.
I think that Bijan Robinson has got an opportunity with Atlanta. They're going to run the ball. Desmond Ridder is a running kind of quarterback. Atlanta's offense is going to be fun to watch. I think Bijan, as a rookie and a stud at that, has a great chance to be the breakout guy.
He certainly showed just in a brief preseason appearance what kind of skills he has. I mean, it's amazing. What about you, Milk? Yeah. Breakout player of the year.
I'm going with Kenny Pickett, Steelers QB. He really, no one really talks about him much, but he really came on at the end of last year. He started off kind of, traditional throwing picks left and right, had a bye week. And then after that bye week, he went like 6-1 or something like that. Got his interceptions way down. He's looked phenomenal in the preseason. They have an unbelievable offense. Pickens, I think Deontay Johnson, we're all talking about him in fantasy football. He's going to have this breakout year.
Najee Harris.
Freiermuth.
Najee, Darnell Washington is new there. And they've got a tight end in, what's his name? Freiermuth or whatever. Pat Freiermuth. Yeah, I really think he's going to be watch him at the end of the season. I mean, this could be a real big breakout year for him.
2 good picks. I actually picked Pickett as my backup quarterback in fantasy because I think he is going to be good this year. How about you, House?
I had a toss-up between – I think this is going to be – because it's a passing league, I think you're going to see another breakout season for wide receivers. And I'm down to Elijah Moore on the Browns, who I think could have a really, really special year opposite Amari Cooper. And you give Garrett Wilson a real quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, and I think we're going to see what a superstar wide receiver he already was. He had a terrific rookie season, but Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson are my breakouts for this year.
Good picks.
I like it.
I've got Jordan Love as my breakout.
Wow.
I watched him a lot in preseason, and he looks like a completely different quarterback now that Aaron Rodgers is no longer looming over him. He just looks like he's got all the tools. And I think he's going to be a successful quarterback this year. He may even take the Packers to a better record than the Jets have. All right, let's go to bust of the year. Who's your bust player of the year? By the way, I also think Dalvin Cook is going to surprise some people this year.
Really? I almost had him as my bust of the year.
Wow.
Yeah. Dalvin?
I'll go first on my bust. And it's not so much that he'll be a bust. I think it's just a massive fall from where he's been. I started to see at the end of the season a regression from Josh Allen. And I don't believe he's in that top 5 quarterback in the NFL anymore. I think he's a very good quarterback. It's not somebody that they shouldn't continue to have as their franchise quarterback. But he was, after that all-time AFC championship game between him and Mahomes a couple years ago, it was like, those are the top 2, Mahomes and Allen. He made some poor mistakes, both with his feet and with his throwing towards the end of last season. And I'm not as into Josh Allen as I used to be. I think he could really regress this year.
Wow,
What about you, Pope?
interesting.
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh.
That's not a bad pick. He's 40 years old.
I don't mind that.
I
With
don't-
a bad
mind it.
offensive line.
I don't know if he still has the juice, guys. I just don't.
I think
He could
pretty
go
much
south.
97%
And he's a
of our
Jets.
country would love to see him fail. So
Right. He's
right.
with the Jets, who are historically a bust. So
Or
why
the
not?
Jets. They are the Jets.
Yeah.
Milk. Who do you have?
I'm going with the big man behind me, Derrick Henry. I
Wow.
think,
Ooh, wow.
yeah. I mean, he kind of saw it at the end of last year. They have he's getting older. He's on a bad team. I'm not buying into the Titans. They lost. Didn't they lose like 7 in a row at the end of last season? I think
Yeah,
that
they were
carries
bad.
over into.
Yeah,
it
and
carries over into
probably
this year.
still won the AFC South, right?
Right. Although I shouldn't talk trash. I could see him. I mean, he's still a first round fantasy pick, and is going in all the first round. I could see him totally underwhelming. Bad offensive line.
It's a shame
too.
he doesn't have a dynamic backup.
Give it to Tajay. The next one.
Yeah, no, seriously. I bet
Well-
he sees a lot more action this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I know you're not supposed to put much credence into the preseason, but I thought Deshaun Watson looked terrible in preseason. And he sure didn't look good last year. If he doesn't turn it around, he's a major bust. But since preseason is preseason, I'm going to go with Kyler Murray.
Oh, yeah.
I think his career's Dunsky. He's
Time to play baseball, Kyler.
yeah, and Russell Wilson. I think the Russell Wilson experiment ends mid-season and he gets benched.
Really?
Kyler Murray's
Yeah.
already a bust. Do we have to say he's going to be busting even more?
Bust
Well,
him again.
They're pretending to stick with him, even though they're also tanking for Caleb. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's talk about some teams. Who do you guys have as your surprise team this year? Every year, I mean, you can't just plug in the same old teams every year in the playoffs. There's always a surprise. This year, who is it? Milk.
I don't know. Start with someone else. I got to think through.
I'll
this.
go
Pope.
Yeah.
because he's not here, but I think Washington has a chance to be the surprise team this year.
Ooh,
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
They were 8-1 last year. They're free of the stench of Danny Snyder. They've got a new outlook. Sam Howell has proven to be potentially a good quarterback on the rise. Their defense is still going to be stout. I don't know. I just, the East is tough. I mean, this is what the SMQBs are about is the NFC East. But I see Washington, even though their schedule is not as easy as you would think it'd be for where they finished. I still think that they have a potential to sneak into the playoffs again, but as a better team this year.
Yeah, I
That
think the
is-
NFC East had the most combined wins of any division last year.
Yeah.
By the way, Sam Howell, keep an eye on him. He could
Yeah.
have been he could be a breakout player.
I liked what
Thank
I
you,
saw
Bill.
at the end of the year, but it's kind of hard
Yeah.
to.
not
I
buying.
don't know.
Toby, what do you got?
I am building on something you guys said before. I think the Steelers are going to surprise. I
Mhm.
think we all know that Tomlin can coach. He almost never misses the playoffs. I don't think he's ever been below 500. And I think Pickett in the second year, Pickens is a special receiver. Deontay Johnson, like Milk said, not only do you have Najee Harris, but I think Jalen Warren is a very special backup.
Mhm.
And you said Freiermuth. I think they have a very solid defense. I think they're going to surprise in that division.
I
It'll
think
be
they patched
interesting.
up the offensive line a little bit too.
Yeah, they patched up that line. I'm not sure whether Burrow is going to be completely healthy game one. I think there's always games that the Ravens lose that they're not supposed to lose. If the Steelers steal a couple games, they could really surprise in that division. I like their chances.
They could sneak up on the Niners in week one.
They could.
I see them winning the
absolutely could.
division.
We don't know. We don't know what Purdy's like in game one, so they absolutely could.
Yeah. Did
I
you go
love the
yet, Milk?
Steelers. Yeah, so I'm
Oh,
gonna
you did.
go with you guys are gonna laugh at this one because I know you hate this team, but I think Denver's gonna be better than everyone thinks. And
I agree.
I actually had Russell Wilson as maybe like a comeback player of the year.
I agree.
Don't call it a
I'm
comeback.
saying it because of Sean Payton mainly. I think he's going to inject new life. I mean, he's a very good coach. I had to deal with him in the NFC South for
Who's their
a
running
decade.
back?
God, is it
Javonte
not
Williams?
Javon-
He's hurt.
Javonte?
No,
Javonte Williams is
he's
fine.
still
He's
hurt.
playing.
He's
playing.
He's not the same. He's still
And plus, they might
he's
get
still a
JT.
year away from being fully rehabbed on that.
They're
from that
seriously
injury.
looking at JT.
Yeah, I know they are.
And they have a good defense. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what happened last year. Look, the coach got fired. Bad mentality in the locker room. I don't know. I could be totally wrong here. I could see some things better than you. Sean Payton is an all-star coach. All-star.
Yeah.
So I could just see
Yep.
him changing things. It's kind of like a Dion
Well,
situation.
I've got two. One is if Deshaun Watson is not a flop, then the Browns are going to be really good this year. My other team, though, is I think the Seahawks are for real.
Oh yeah,
They're all the way back. I think Geno is good enough. Geno is good enough to take them to the playoffs, and they now may have the best wide receiving core in all of the NFL if Jackson Smith and Jiba gets healthy. It's going to be right up there with the Chargers and some of the other teams, the Vikings. I mean, they've got three solid guys.
About
Kenny Walker.
Geno losing Canales to the Bucks, the offensive coordinator. I don't know. I don't know how dependent he was on him.
Mm-hmm.
So Milk. I know we passed breakout player, and this is maybe a little bit related to fantasy, but notwithstanding the fact the Bucks absolutely suck and are terrible, can you say that the NFL can count on Rachaad White as being a legit RB1 in this league?
I love Rachaad White. You guys talked me out of taking him in fantasy. I'm really pissed. I literally am regretting it.
He's probably still available.
Somebody took him. I think it was Disciple. I think he's going to be a great running back. He was close to my breakout player as well. I thought about him. I thought you guys would make fun of me for being a homer. So, look, it's the Bucks, Baker Mayfield, but he will be very good. Just
okay. All right.
I have one last question, then we can throw it open to all of you. Let's rename the shittiest team in football as the Dan Snyder Award. Who gets the Dan Snyder Award this year for just the absolute worst from head to bottom football team?
My guess is we're going to be close to unanimous on this.
Yeah. I think so.
Yep. Go
Cards.
The Cards, right?
Milk.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Yeah. I mean, they're DOA. I mean, there's just no interest in the Cards.
Okay, what about the shit show in Indianapolis?
Yeah.
I mean, Irsay's a dick, but
he got a terrible owner. He's fucked up his whole situation with a superstar running back. In the year that they went out on a limb and drafted a quarterback who needs a good running back because he's not NFL ready, and yet they've decided they're going to start him. They're going to ruin Richardson's career. They're going to run off Jonathan Taylor. I mean, they are a terrible, terrible organization. And I agree with you. So are the Cards. Right now, the Panthers look pretty awful too. There's some bad teams this year, a few of them anyway.
I think the Colts still have some talent. I mean, I think Richardson might work out. I think Pittman's a really good receiver. They've got a pretty decent offensive line. Their owner's an idiot, but I don't know. I think the Colts don't hold a candle to the Cardinals' ridiculousness. Jonathan Gannon is a clown show. If you've seen any of these videos that are circulating about him how many of you drove to practice? How many of you took a bus? How many of you have a fire in your belly? Who talks like that to grown men who are playing NFL
To
football?
grown men on a team that's tanking for the #1 pick.
What?
You have a fire in my belly. Bullshit.
I can also see the Colts like beating the Texans, whereas I don't see the Cardinals beating anyone in their division.
Well,
the Colts could beat Tennessee. Tennessee sucks.
Yeah.
Much.
That's
we
a
didn't
good
talk about
segue.
it, but clearly that's the worst fucking division.
Which is
South
of AFC
of either
Both.
league, either.
Take your pick.
Take either South. They both suck.
Nothing comes close to NFC South. Milk, your division is atrocious.
Well, yeah, but they have the Saints at least. The AFC South has
no. They have Jacksonville.
They have the Jags, who have,
Jags are good.
I think they're
the girl.
I think they're overrated.
The Jags?
Yeah,
Jags are good.
They're okay, but they're not great.
They're the tallest pygmy.
I don't know.
That's the Saints. The Saints are going to win that division at 9-8.
I'm not buying into the Saints. I think they're average at best. So NFC South will surprise you at how bad they are.
Well, this conversation should make our next topic pretty interesting. House, why don't you explain to our listeners what the Plaxico Lock is?
Well, for some of our younger listeners, or those who eschew the Giants as a team to ever pay attention to, it was a young wide receiver who had a very promising career, who decided to bring a weapon with him in the car and threw away his career by locking himself up. And so, in honor of one of the few things that we'll honor the New York Giants with, we're going to honor the Plaxico Burress locking himself up with the locks that we are so reliable on. This is your chance, listeners. You're going to get this by maybe Monday night, Tuesday morning. You've got full 48 hours at least, maybe longer for games beyond Thursday, to get to the betting window and get yourself a new house, new car, whatever it is.
By betting against what we say.
Right. Tad Thomas, get ready to go to the bank, buddy.
This is it. This year, we rarely have someone go over 500, but this year is going to be different. This year's different, fellas.
So, House, tell the listeners what line we're using for this.
We use the Score mobile line, NFL line, and we use it as of the time of the podcast. So we understand that it might change between now and then, so you have to guide your bank account accordingly. But this is the line that we're going to. For example,
why don't you go down to each of the 16 games and give the line just for the first week, so the listeners all get this.
First week we got the Chiefs -6.5 home against the Lions. We got the Eagles -3.5 at the Pats. The Ravens home -10 versus the Texans. The Falcons home -3.5 versus the Panthers. The Bengals -2.5 at the Browns. The 49ers -2.5 at the Steelers. Commanders home favorite -7. Vikings home favorite -6 against the Bucks. The Jags are -5 at the Colts. Big line away. Saints -3 at home against the Titans. Broncos -4 home against the Raiders. Chargers -3 home against the Dolphins. Wow. Seahawks -5.5 home against the Rams. Bears -1. Wow, against anybody, but this is against the Packers home. The Cowboys 3.5 favored on the road at the Giants, disrespecting Dable. And we've got the Bills -2.5 at the Jets. That's this week. And so, just for example, our new Italian correspondent will be back next week with bocce coverage. Bison is taking the Commanders. He is homing it. Commanders -7 against the Cardinals. That's your first pick of the week. And let's turn it to milk.
But by the way, what did you say the Panthers Falcons line was?
The Panthers Falcons. The Falcons are a favorite -3.5 at home.
Yeah. So I'm on that game. I'm gonna take the Falcons there.
You got the
At home.
Falcons -3.5.
-3.5. I mean, Bryce Young's first game. Come on.
Okay. Not a
All day.
believer. Okay.
I'll take Atlanta.
Pope.
I've got, sorry, Milk. I got the Vikings giving 6 home against the Bucks.
I think that's a layup. I think Pope
Could be ugly.
I think Pope rushes out to a 1-0 lead there. I'm making a pick. I think Rooster was maybe I don't know who was. Oh, Pope was our champion last year, I think. Maybe at like
Yeah, it was. It was not
like a
even
lusty
close.
9-8 or something like
No,
that.
no, higher than that.
I'm taking the Eagles on the road -3.5 because if we don't beat the Patriots by more than 4 points, you're going to see me like milk vomiting over the toilet if we can't beat this atrocious Patriots team. So I'm taking the Birds -3.5 in Foxborough, which leaves us to Rooster.
I think those are all safe picks, honestly. And I'm going to go with milk and take the Falcons.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
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 All right. Bison, Washington, Pope, Vikings, Milk and Rooster, Falcons, and House, the Birds. There you go.
Love it.
All right. All right. Somebody must have a punchable face
No,
of the
no.
week.
We have to go on the record and do our Super Bowl predictions.
No, we don't.
Yes.
We haven't seen one game yet.
Oh, that's why you predict before the games even start. We do it every year.
Who wants to do the Super Bowl predictions?
Go for it, Pope.
Go for it.
Come on, Pope. Give
Look,
us your call.
I've got the Eagles and Cowboys in the NFC Championship, and I've got
What?
the Eagles winning. And then I got the Chiefs and Bills in the AFC Championship, and I got the Bills winning, and I got, as painful as this is, the Birds taking home the Super Bowl.
Oh,
The Birds.
Can't make certain noises. This is public.
The fact you have the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game, though, is interesting.
You can always hope.
Well, I will say
That would be the peak this year.
I will say that Jalen Hurts is a man among boys. He understands what it is to lose. Behind me, when you watch YouTube, is Jalen Hurts' screensaver on his lock screen on his phone, walking off the field to confetti of the Chiefs winning it. He is motivated. He is a man on a mission. The Eagles have filled any possible need that they even had.
And
I know it's
gained.
almost impossible to return. I think 17 quarterbacks have won the Super Bowl. None of 17 have returned the next year. I'm saying that Jalen's going to break it, and the Eagles are going to return for a rematch against the Chiefs, and this time take home the trophy in Las Vegas.
Milk, have you thought about this at all?
Not really, but I'll take a stab.
Take a flyer.
Yeah, I mean, God, I'm gonna take the Chiefs again. They're gonna repeat.
Yep.
I mean, I do want to say the Eagles though, because they're probably very fucking pissed off, and that drives a team. But yeah, I don't see. I mean, how can I bet against the Chiefs until they prove me wrong?
The Eagles' defense has gotten better. I think under the radar, people don't realize that I think the Eagles may have the best defense in the NFL this year.
I just don't see anyone rise to those level of those two teams.
But I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that the Chiefs beat the Giants in the Super Bowl.
Whoa, G-Men.
Wow.
Wow. I thought I was a homer.
Before we move on to other stuff, Rooster, seriously, I don't know this. I think you have a rookie, maybe Jalen Hyatt, and I think maybe who is Daniel Jones? I know you have Waller. Who is your receiving core in the Giants?
Paris Campbell.
I don't know who that is.
You got that guy from last year who was a big hit, Isaiah something.
Oh, Hodges. Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
Hodges. And then who else? They've Sterling Shepard is back, but they've got Wandale Robinson back in the slot. And
That's my worry
they're
for
making
this
some
team.
noise about trading for Mike Evans if he Bucks don't sign him.
Whoa.
Oh, that would be insane. There's no way he's leaving.
Yeah, that would be bad for the
Bad for
franchise.
the Glazers might as well just not show their faces anymore in Tampa.
Anybody else have any NFL thoughts? Week 1.
Let's get it going.
All right, let's move on to the punchable face. Who's got one?
I have a punch.
All right.
I don't like when we have to cover stories like this, but you guys probably saw the news today. I forgot the backstory this jerk, but Julio Urias, pitcher on the Los Angeles Dodgers, has been arrested for felony domestic assault. I'm not sure that he'll play again this year, maybe in baseball ever. I don't know what it is about the Dodgers liking pitchers who like to beat up women, but in 2019, I had forgotten that he pushed a woman down the parking lot and went into a 52-week domestic violence program, which apparently taught him nothing. He was suspended by Manfred for 20 games in 2019. Last year, he got himself together, at least on the pitcher's mound, and was third in the Cy Young with a 2.16 ERA. And maybe the fact that he's coming up on free agency and only has a 4.6 ERA is getting to him. There's no excuse, and we don't know the full story. And yes, he is innocent to proven guilty, but generally, almost 9 out of 10 times when we hear these domestic assault stories, they turn out to be true. It's just whether or not the person wants to press charges. The guy's a scum, and I think the punishment for him should be he should be punched in the face by all of us. That's my punchable face of the week.
All right. Anybody else have a punch? A milk slap? No? Somebody please do a lasso. We haven't had one in so long. Anything?
I thought the lasso we did was kind of the Nebraska story, the women's volleyball. I mean,
that
was a
lasso.
feel-good story.
Yep. I have a feel bad story. I just like to send out our prayers and wishes to Alex Smith
lasso?
and his family. I don't know if you saw that Alex Smith's 7-year-old daughter has a brain tumor.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
After all that
God.
family's been through, now they're going through that. So everybody keep them in your thoughts and prayers.
Jeez.
Yeah, rough.
Mm.
All right, let's move on to buzzer beaters. Who's got a buzz? Milk, let's have your buzzer beater.
I'm gonna make this known because this is gonna be a recurring trend throughout the season this fall. I'm on Billy Napier's ass now, and I'm gonna give him 2 more weeks. We play a scrub on this Saturday, then Tennessee. If he gets blown out by Tennessee, I will start calling for his firing week in and week out as my buzzer beater until he is canned.
It works. It works. I think
where I'm
Aaron Boone is out the door soon.
Are you going to chip in on the buyout? Was it like 39 million or something?
Yeah,
like that?
I don't know, but when you get a penalty for players wearing the same number on a special teams on a critical 4th down punt, you start to lose the fan base. So
The turning play of the whole season.
So you're on notice, Billy. You're on notice.
Get it together, Billy, or Milk's coming after you.
Yes.
Pope, what do you have?
So I've got I'm watching on the Gamecast, huge playoff potential game here between the Rangers and Astros. Rangers just tied it on a home run by Mitch Garver. They've collapsed. Epic collapsed in August. The Mariners now leading by 1. Rangers and Astros are tied, and they're tied for the last wild card as well. So we're watching that game with interest. Wednesday we have Scherzer versus Verlander, which is I think the most Cy Youngs that have gone up against each other. Verlander has 3 and Scherzer has 2. Now they went up against each other in the World Series, the Nats. and the Astros in 2019, but I think they've had another Cy Young since then.
Yankees tried to help you out.
Yeah, yeah, they did.
They
How
swept
about
the Astros?
Yeah, how about my ponies now going to the ACC? We talked about it. We alluded to it last pod. We didn't know what was going to happen, but on Friday, the ACC presidents invited Cal, Stanford, and SMU into an 18-team ACC now, including Notre Dame for football. And I will tell you, there's a lot of excitement in Dallas because of that. And yours truly and some other guys are going in, and we're getting season tickets close to the floor for basketball because it is going to be insane having all the ACC teams come to Moody Coliseum for basketball starting in 2024. Duke, Carolina, State, UVA, that's going to be a blast. And my final buzzer beater is Ryder Cup Europeans. Luke Donald rolled out his picks today. Fleetwood, Lowry, and Rose were three of his captain's picks. But most importantly, guys, mainly because of Liv and Father Time as well. But this is the first Ryder Cup Euros are not going to roll out Sergio, Poulter, Westwood, or Casey in about 15 years or so. And that is the heart of the European team that has been defending European soil successfully for, they're up to 30 years now. So I think we're set for a great Ryder Cup. And, I think Euros are going to be missing the heart of their team. So let's see if anybody else can step up.
House, what is the count on the number of college teams claimed by Pope?
Well, we got SMU, Alabama, North Carolina.
That's it. You're done.
No, keep going.
There's got to be some others. There's got to be.
Why?
Well, there were the Louisiana years.
Yeah, you're right. I went to LSU games because what else am I going to do in Louisiana?
Yeah.
Louisiana years.
He's got years. You have to go through the lineage.
The fourth team is a flyer. It's always kind of like it's a TCU.
TCU. We left out TCU from last year.
I like the Alabama years when he was still nursing while Bear Bryant was coaching.
Yeah. Nope. That's kind of disgusting. I wasn't nursing when I was in Alabama. I was already 4.
Okay, that's bad.
Hey, did you ever see Game of Thrones?
Papa Pope listens to my pods, so be careful now.
All right.
Okay.
Okay,
hey,
House.
Pope, good luck to Bama this year.
What are your buzzer beaters, House?
Oh no, he's an Auburn fan. Sorry, he is.
Yeah,
Auburn.
My dad's an Auburn fan.
Auburn. Good luck to Auburn. I don't think they're going to do anything, Papa Pope.
No.
My buzzer beater. Someone had the number 15. I
did.
Yeah. So
Dak interceptions.
Yeah. Well, listen, for those of you like Tampa Bay, maybe Dallas, teams whose year is already over before it even started in the NFL, this is the year that you will get your quarterback from. I have never seen anything like it. There are 15 quarterbacks who showed out in week 1. Michael Penix, DJ Ugalele, Caleb Williams, Shador Sanders, Joe Milton, Jalen Milroe, Michael Pratt, Drew Alar, Bo Nix, Jordan Travis, JJ McCarthy, Quinn Ewers, Sam Hartman, Spencer Rattler, Drake May, Jaden Daniels. This is I don't think we've ever seen anything remotely close to the amount of quarterback talent that is in NCAA football. And I know that sometimes we get bored with football because it's always the same teams and ending up in the college football playoff. What makes this year different, I think, will be the play of the quarterback. There are so many fun quarterbacks to watch. And I think the GMs in the NFL are salivating over what they're seeing in the college football.
Yeah, and there are more receivers now than they thought, too.
Yeah. We could have several. I mean, think about how many quarterbacks could go in the first round next year. It's insane.
5 or 6 at least.
Yeah.
Maybe it rivals the 1983 draft.
Who was the Cardinals quarterback before Murray? Didn't they move on from a number 1 pick and go and take Murray?
Yes.
It was
Rosen.
Was it Rosen? Yeah, it was Rosen.
Yeah.
So the Cardinals could go 3 quarterbacks in a row where they use their number 1 pick on a quarterback.
Well, Caleb Williams is very, very special. So that I don't think he's a Drew Rosen or Kyler Murray.
Yeah. Yep. Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Rooster.
So, first of all, I just wanted to remind everyone that I called the Colorado upset before the game. We won't talk about me calling for the South Carolina upset
Yeah.
over UNC.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
But
oops.
my buzzer beater is, look, how long have I been calling on the Yankees to call up Yason Dominguez? I mean, since the middle of the year when they started to suck, I was like, it's time to bring up these young studs. And I kept saying, bring up the Martian, Yason Dominguez. What does he do? The very first pitch he sees in the major leagues is from future Hall of Famer Justin Verlander, and he hits a home run on the first pitch. Youngest player in history at age 20 to do that. First pitch,
Wow.
first bat
Wow.
home run. 2 games later, he hits a 2-run homer to help sweep the Astros. I mean, he is the real deal. I don't know why we've been wasting our time with these washed up old fools that make too much money and can't perform. I just want to say, Hal, when you finally get around to firing Cashman, I am available on one
It
condition.
did sound like a promo.
Yeah, I'm on one condition. I will not leave the podcast, but other than that, here I am, baby.
Your
Good one.
prediction, you've been on fire.
Anything else, fellas?
Come back soon, Bison.
You think we'll ever see Bison again?
No,
Maybe not.
no, I think he's gone. But hey, it was a
So
hell of a
It was a good run.
Yeah, it was
129
a run.
episodes or 128 episodes.
128 episodes.
Yeah.
Guy gave it everything he could.
he
Kind
really
of the fifth
did.
Beatle, if you will.
Yeah,
I'm interested to hear how to say Sunday morning quarterbacks in Italian. He's gonna have a
right.
Italian pod, Italian sports pod.
Me dispiace, Bison.
He'll put together his own competing Italian sports pod
Italian sports.
All right.
It'll all be F1 and
and soccer or football.
Arrivederci, fellas.
All right.
All right.
Arrivederci. See ya.